In a world where celebrities compete in luxury and extravagance, where 1 in 2 millionaires considers it their duty to buy a private jet or gold-plated toilets, there are surprising exceptions. Today we're going to talk about global stars who, with access to all the luxuries in the world, have chosen a completely different path. And believe me, their stories will change your understanding of celebrity life. Imagine a world where a person's worth is determined not by the size of their mansion or the number of zeros in their bank account, but by the strength of their character and the goodness of their heart. That's the world where the heroes of our story live today. Let's start with a man whose modesty has long become a Hollywood legend, Keanu Reeves. His story began long before fame and millions, and to understand his attitude toward wealth, we need to go back in time. Young Keanu grew up without a father, who left the family when the boy was just 3 years old. Constantly moving with his mother, a costume designer, he learned to make do with little and appreciate life's simple joys. But real hardships awaited him. The first blow was the death of his best friend, River Phoenix, from a drug overdose. Then came an even greater tragedy, the loss of an unborn child and the death of his beloved Jennifer Syme in a car accident. These events forever changed his view of life and material values. Today, Keanu's net worth is estimated at $380 million. He earned over $200 million just for the Matrix trilogy. His career began in the 1980s with films like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but his real success came with hits like Speed and Point Break. It was the Matrix that made him a superstar, and the franchise's earnings exceeded all expectations. But what's surprising is that this money has had almost no effect on Keanu's lifestyle. Instead of a luxurious Beverly Hills mansion, he lives in an ordinary Los Angeles apartment, where his main neighbors aren't stars but houseplants. It's said he even has philosophical conversations with them about the meaning of life. In the parking lot near his home, there's no Ferrari but a modest Honda Accord. The actor often uses the subway, quietly giving up his seat to the elderly, and can be found in a regular diner sipping a cup of coffee. The only luxury he allows himself is motorcycles. Keanu is the co-founder of Arch Motorcycle, which produces custom bikes. It's not just a business but a true passion in which he finds particular joy. There's an amazing story that perfectly characterizes Keanu. At the premiere of his film Daughter of God, he stood in line for about 20 minutes in the rain to enter the club. The guard didn't recognize him, and Reeves didn't even try to explain who he was. He simply waited patiently for his friends to approach. According to eyewitnesses, he looked like an ordinary man with no extra money. The club owner later admitted he nearly fainted when he learned he'd left the Hollywood star soaking in the rain. But the most astonishing thing about Keanu is his generosity. He donated about $75 million of his Matrix salary to the special effects team and stunt performers, believing they created the film's true magic. He bought Harley-Davidson motorcycles for the entire stunt team as a thank you for their hard work. He regularly and anonymously donates huge sums to children's hospitals and cancer research, never publicizing his charitable work. When journalists ask him about money, he brushes it off. "Money is the last thing I worry about. You know, I have more than I could spend in several lifetimes. What's more important is the joy your work brings, the chance to work with the greatest artists." Jennifer Lawrence's story is no less remarkable. At 22, she already had an Oscar in hand, and her fortune after the Hunger Games exceeded $160 million. She became one of Hollywood's highest-paid actresses, but it hasn't affected her character or lifestyle in the slightest. After her resounding success, she continued living in the same modest two-bedroom apartment. Her biggest luxury is a $25,000 couch, which she talks about with genuine embarrassment. "When I look at it, I feel insanely rich. It's the most expensive thing I've ever bought, aside from a house." What's more interesting is that Jennifer still buys furniture at IKEA and assembles it herself. She drives a hybrid Chevrolet Volt, not a luxury sports car, and can easily wear the same dress to multiple events, something considered almost a crime against fashion in Hollywood. Her clumsiness on the red carpet has become legendary. Remember how she fell twice at the Oscars, and instead of being embarrassed, she laughed at herself, which only added to the public's love for her. In interviews, Jennifer often jokes about her attitude toward money. Honestly, I'm terrible at spending. My friends joke that I'm the worst millionaire in the world. She says she feels happiest in old sweatpants, walking the dog, or spending time with her family. Moving on to Leonardo DiCaprio, the man who's proven you can be a millionaire while saving the planet. His net worth is estimated at $300 million, and he uses a large portion of that money to protect the environment. Yes, he owns an impressive collection of luxury cars, including a Lamborghini, Ferrari, and Audi, but he rarely uses them. Instead, he's more often seen driving an eco-friendly Tesla. Interestingly, Leo owns his own island in Belize. But instead of building a luxury resort there, he's turned it into an eco-friendly sanctuary and research center. In a world where celebrities flaunt private jets and yachts the size of small cities, DiCaprio dedicates himself to saving endangered species and investing in green technologies. He's made millions but is known for managing those assets shrewdly. For example, he sold his Malibu home for $11 million, earning a $10 million profit. It's like playing Monopoly, but instead of buying regular houses, he buys eco-friendly properties. DiCaprio's charitable work is truly impressive. He's raised over $80 million for various environmental causes, including wildlife protection and combating climate change. You could say he's a kind of Hollywood Robin Hood, but instead of giving money to the poor, he saves the planet. But Robert Pattinson's story is particularly astonishing. After Twilight, his fortune exceeded $100 million. For the final films of the saga, he earned $25 million plus a percentage of the profits, ultimately bringing in about $40 million per film. In 2013, he was ranked the second richest celebrity under 30 in the UK. You'd think it was time to start living like a true aristocratic vampire, but Robert chose a completely different path. Believe it or not, he still drives a 2001 Chevrolet Silverado that he bought for a ridiculous $2,100. For a while, he lived in a rented Hollywood house that looked more like a junkyard, with a non-working hot tub and a pool resembling a swamp. He chose that place precisely because it was secluded and allowed him to avoid the paparazzi's annoying attention. He now has a better home, but by Hollywood standards, it's still very modest. A Spanish-style mini-mansion for $6 million. That sounds like a lot to the average person, but in a world where his fellow actors buy homes for $50 to $100 million, it's practically an economy-class studio. And his fashion style makes critics weep into their pillows. Old t-shirts, wrinkled shirts, and jeans that have clearly seen better days. He can wear the same clothes for weeks and genuinely doesn't seem to understand why anyone should care. For a man who's graced countless fashion magazine covers, his personal style is surprisingly casual. "I dress in whatever's closest to the bed," the actor admits. Sometimes that means picking clothes off the floor. And somehow, he still manages to look cool. After Twilight, instead of starring in big blockbusters, he chose the path of independent cinema. His roles have become as far from mainstream as possible. You'd think with that kind of money, you'd only pick profitable projects, but Pattinson prefers to follow his heart, not his bank account. Ryan Reynolds deserves special attention. His fortune is estimated at $350 million, and after selling aviation gin for $610 million in 2020, he could afford to buy a small country. But instead, Ryan continues to live like an ordinary family man. With his wife Blake Lively, they chose to live not in glamorous Beverly Hills but in the quiet town of Bedford, where they bought a cozy home for the modest sum of $5.5 million. Every morning, Ryan, like a regular dad, drives his kids to school in the family SUV. No personal drivers, bodyguards, or entourages. He says he's happiest at home with his family, far from Hollywood's hustle. In interviews, he often jokes that he doesn't know how to be rich. "I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Everyone around me is buying yachts and private jets, and I'm just happy my kids have an endless supply of my dumb jokes." His sense of humor extends to business. He makes funny ads for his company Mint Mobile, often poking fun at his own fame and fortune. In one ad, he even joked that they saved money on advertising by spending just $35. At the same time, he and Blake are among Hollywood's most generous philanthropists. During the pandemic, they donated millions to food banks, support Canada's Indigenous peoples, and help various medical organizations. And all this without fanfare. Many of their donations are only known because the recipients share the news. What's most surprising about Ryan? He uses his wit not just for entertainment but for good deeds. For example, when he sold aviation gin, he donated a significant portion of the money to charity, but did so with his characteristic humor. Now I can afford to buy the used cars of my dreams. But Sarah Jessica Parker, whom everyone knows as the style icon Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City, turns out to be a completely different person in real life. With a net worth of over $100 million, she could spend insane amounts on designer outfits, like many Hollywood stars do. Instead, she loves shopping at thrift stores and secondhand shops, where she hunts for unique finds. Her approach to fashion is surprisingly practical. She skillfully combines expensive designer pieces with vintage store finds. A good thing doesn't have to be new and expensive, the actress explains. What matters is how you wear it and how it makes you feel. In a world where some stars refuse to wear the same outfit twice, Sarah's approach feels revolutionary. Sarah lives in a relatively modest home in the West Village with her husband Matthew Broderick, where she raises her children with an unglamorous approach to money. I think my mother regrets not being able to give us much, she says. And I do my best to make sure my kids are as deprived as I was. She often jokes about her wardrobe. I have a lot of shoes, but I also have a lot of kids, so it balances out. Instead of lavish gifts, she emphasizes the importance of experiences and impressions. I'd rather take my kids to the park than buy them a yacht, she says. Who needs a yacht when there's a swing? This approach underscores her belief that true values can't be bought with money. Despite the success of her fashion brand SJP collection, she remains true to the principles of practical elegance. Her business approach isn't based on ostentatious luxury but on creating quality items at reasonable prices. I think it's good to aspire to something, she says. When you finally get what you want, it has special meaning. You don't take your possessions lightly. In our story about Hollywood's modest millionaires, we can't overlook an extraordinary man from South Korea, Jung-jae. The star of Squid Game, who has captured the hearts of millions of viewers worldwide, proves that modesty and kindness know no national boundaries. Jung-jae's story began with real hardships worthy of a dramatic film script. As a child, his family lost everything due to his mother's bad investments. Young Lee wore holey shoes and often went hungry. He had to drop out of university to work and support his family. These experiences, rather than hardening his heart, taught him deep compassion for others. Today, a global star and successful businessman, owner of the Italian restaurant chain Il Mare and the development company Syme C&D, Jung-jae leads a surprisingly modest life. No luxurious mansions or sports car collections. Instead, he lives in an ordinary apartment and drives a used car. He's more often seen in simple, casual clothes than in expensive designer suits. But what's most impressive is his generosity. After devastating wildfires in South Korea, he donated 100 million won to those affected. He allocated another 100 million to help low-income families. And he gave up to 200 million won to young actors just starting their artistic journey. I know what it's like to lose everything and start from scratch, the actor says. That's what taught me to appreciate every opportunity and help others. In a world where success is often measured by luxury purchases, Jung-jae chooses a different path. He proves that true wealth lies not in bank account numbers but in the ability to remain human and help those in need. His story is a striking example of how a person can go from extreme poverty to global fame without losing their soul and humanity. Perhaps that's why all these celebrities remain so beloved by their fans. They remind us that beneath Hollywood's glossy veneer, there's still room for sincerity, simplicity, and true human values, and that a lot of money doesn't necessarily change a person for the worse.